Have you ever noticed that sometimes what ruins your whole day isn't a big deal, but just someone's words, a look, or an attitude? Like an unreasonable coworker, a harsh comment, a stranger's outburst, or a pointless argument. Any of these can drain you for hours. But truly strong people aren't those who never get offended. They're the ones who don't easily give others control over their emotions. Hello, everyone. I'm Manya. Welcome to Life Wisdom. Today, we're talking about a really important skill: downward compatibility. This doesn't mean looking down on others or forcing yourself to please them. It means that when you meet people with different views, emotions, life stages, or spiritual journeys, you can still stay clear headed, stay calm, and hold your boundaries. Is true maturity not about how many people you can beat, but how few people can affect you? Not about conquering others, but about embracing them. One thing to be clear: downward compatibility isn't about giving in without limits. If someone keeps crossing the line and hurting you, firmly say no, step away if needed, and get help. Nietzsche once said, "Man is a polluted river. One must be a sea to receive a polluted river without becoming unclean." That pretty much sums up the essence of downward compatibility. A truly strong person is like the ocean. They don't lose their depth just because a muddy river flows in. They don't become narrow minded because of others' ignorance, offenses, or small mindedness. In real life, we get angry way too easily. Someone says something unpleasant, and we snap back immediately. Someone does things differently, and we criticize right away. Someone has a different opinion, and we feel the need to argue. We think we're standing our ground, defending our dignity. But most of the time, we're just draining our own energy. Truly strong people know not every insult deserves a response. Not every misunderstanding needs an explanation. Not every argument is worth having. Downward compatibility has three key parts. First, cognitive understanding. Second, emotional control. Third, broader perspective. Let's break them down. 1. Cognitive downward compatibility. Understanding why others can't see what you see. Have you ever had moments where something seems obvious to you, but others just don't get it? Where simple common sense keeps being overlooked? Or rules that seem clear to you mean nothing to someone else? It's easy to get angry or think they're dumb, but maturity teaches us this. What's obvious to you might come from a world someone else has never been exposed to. People are raised differently, receive different educations, have different life experiences and stages of soul growth. Your judgment today is shaped by the books you've read, places you've been, people you've met, things you've gone through, and who you are at your core. Others simply haven't reached that point yet. You can't expect them to immediately see what you already do. It's like adults not arguing with kids, not because they can't win, but because it's pointless. You wouldn't blame a 7-year-old for not understanding advanced math, or mock someone who's never traveled for being ignorant. Similarly, as your understanding grows, you stop wasting time fighting with those still struggling where you've already been. Differences in cognition shouldn't make you feel superior, but compassionate. Just because you've seen more doesn't give you the right to look down on those who haven't. Just because you know more doesn't mean you can belittle those still finding their way. In fact, the higher you stand, the more you should understand how hard it is down below. Downward compatibility is about understanding why others can't do what you can, recognizing their limits. The mature are tolerant, the immature, narrow minded. When you can see things from where others stand, you won't get worked up over trivial stuff. You won't fly off the handle just because a coworker does things differently, won't argue endlessly over family views that differ from yours, and won't get enraged by a stranger's ignorant online comment. Because you know these come from differences in understanding, and those differences don't disappear overnight. 2. Emotional downward compatibility. Don't hand over your emotional remote to others. Some people let others' emotions control them. Someone gets upset, they get upset. Someone's angry, they get angry. Someone provokes, they immediately fight back. These people seem fiery, but are actually fragile because their emotional remote is in someone else's hands. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it, men are disturbed not by the things which happen, but by the opinions about the things. This is the core of emotional control. Your feelings shouldn't be ruled by outside events, but by you. Picture this: you're in line at a cafe, and the person ahead throws a tantrum because their coffee was messed up, even turns their anger on you for blocking the way. You have two choices. One, you get sucked into their mood and snap back. What's your problem? The argument escalates and your whole day's ruined. Two, you stay calm, realize it's their personal meltdown and has nothing to do with you. Take a step back, save your energy for what really matters. Which is stronger? Obviously, the second. When facing someone losing control, it's easy to get dragged into their emotional mess. Their anger infects you, their anxiety rubs off, their negativity swallows you. Downward compatibility means not letting these negative feelings pull you down. You learn which emotions deserve your energy and which are just noise, which battles are worth fighting and which only drain you. There's a saying: never argue with a fool. They drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. Harsh as it sounds, it's true. When you dive into someone else's emotional drama, you lose control. Truly smart people don't waste their lives on pointless fights. They know protecting their emotions means protecting their energy, and protecting energy means protecting their life. Quick thought before we move on. Has anyone recently tried to pull you into their emotional storm and you managed to walk away? Drop a comment and tell me about it. I read every single one. And if you're finding value in this conversation, subscribing helps more people like you find this channel. All right, on to the third one. 3. Perspective downward compatibility. You don't have to see those different from you as enemies. What is perspective? It's not about how many resources you have or how high you stand. It's about how many different voices you can hold, how many different people you can understand, how many viewpoints you can accept. Some folks live in a tiny bubble, only accepting people like themselves, only understanding views they agree with, only tolerating behavior that meets their standards. Their perspective is naturally narrow. But those with real perspective know the world is diverse and people are different. Some are clear minded, others confused, some diligent, others laid back, some open, others limited. These differences aren't meant to create conflict, but to help us grasp the world's complexity. There's a saying that goes, I don't like that man, so I must understand him better. It sounds contradictory, but it's really wise. Most people react by avoiding or attacking those they dislike. But the wiser path is to understand, to find the reasons behind their actions. That's perspective. Big hearted people don't see everyone who's different as an enemy. They know everyone has their story, struggles, and limits. Downward compatibility isn't lowering your standards, it's broadening your heart. You can hold your principles and still let others live differently. You can pursue higher goals and still understand those still finding their way. You can disagree with certain actions and still respect the complexity behind them. Your perspective shapes the breadth of your life. Narrow minded people constantly argue over right and wrong, who wins or loses, who gets more or less. Their world is black and white, with clear enemies and allies, no room for understanding or tolerance. They're destined to live tired lives because the world is full of unfairness and imperfection. If you argue over every little thing and every person who doesn't meet your standards, you'll burn out in endless fights. Shakespeare wrote in As You Like It, all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. Everyone plays roles, lead, supporting, extras. You can't expect everyone to play the lead, and you shouldn't criticize those in smaller parts for not trying hard enough. Everyone has their place and value. Many misunderstand downward compatibility as being weak or giving up, but it's the opposite. It's for your own good. It's not weakness, but wisdom, not compromise, but strategy, not escape, but choice. When you argue with someone at a different cognitive level, you feel drained. You try to explain, but they don't listen. You bring facts and logic, they respond with emotions and bias. You think you're spreading truth, but you're just burning yourself out. People with broad perspective know time is the most precious resource. They know what's worth responding to and what should be ignored. Spending time improving yourself is far better than arguing over who's right. Downward compatibility is really about saving your life for what truly matters. Maturity starts when you accept uncertainty and ambiguity. Immature people want clear answers. Who's right? Who's wrong? Who's good? Who's bad? But mature people understand most things live in shades of gray. Human nature isn't just black and white. Relationships aren't just wins or losses. The world doesn't run on your rules. Downward compatibility lets you stay calm amid this complexity. You stop trying to control everything, stop demanding everyone meet your expectations, stop forcing your standards on others. Then you realize your perspective has widened, your wisdom grown, and life feels lighter. You've seen plenty of selfishness, but choose not to be selfish. You've been hurt, but choose not to hurt others. You've met narrow mindedness, but choose to be broader. Downward compatibility is hitting pause. You choose not to pass on negativity. You choose to let the hurt stop with you. This isn't weakness, but huge courage. Because it's easy to fight back. Revenge is instinct, but tolerance takes real effort. It means overcoming our most basic impulses. Some things seem urgent, like responding to a nasty comment, defending yourself against a misunderstanding, proving you're right. But they're not important. They don't truly affect your life. The less urgent things, reading a good book, exercising, spending time with family, improving skills, chasing dreams, those really shape your life. Warren Buffett has observed really successful people say no to almost everything. Saying no means refusing what drains you, pointless socializing, low quality arguments, negative people, toxic environments. Only by saying no can you truly protect yourself. Downward compatibility means you can understand others without agreeing. You can accept differences without giving up your principles. You can choose not to argue without losing your boundaries. You can stay silent without losing. True strength isn't conquering everyone, it's conquering yourself, not beating all your opponents, but defeating your inner weakness, not needing everyone's approval, but earning your own. When you no longer seek safety from the outside world, no longer need others' approval to prove your worth, no longer have to win every argument to protect your dignity, that's true freedom. Your security comes from within. Your value is defined by yourself. Your dignity has nothing to do with others. That's real strength. So, after today, here's a little exercise for you. Next time someone offends you, misunderstands you, provokes you, or dumps negativity on you, don't rush to respond. Pause for 3 seconds and ask yourself 1. Is this really important? 2. Is this person worth my energy? 3. Will my response bring me peace? If the answer is no, just let it go. Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Not because you can't fight back, but because you choose to save your strength for what's worth it. Thanks for listening. If today's talk resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend who's stuck in their own head. And tell me in the comments, have you recently faced someone or something you wanted to fight back against, but chose to let go instead? May you see the world's complexity clearly, yet stay clear-headed, gentle, and strong. I'm Manya. See you next time.